How's dad life going, bro?
Dad life's going good.
Yeah?
It's going good, yeah. It has its challenges.
It certainly does.
It does, and you know that. It's going really good. I think that the challenges definitely don't, I guess, make it, any less more fulfilling. I think that they could be doubled and you'd still want to have kids. You know what I mean? But they are definitely tricky when they come around. They're tricky.
When they're young as well. And
Yeah.
when they're young and they're not old enough to understand consequences or like understand when like they've done the wrong thing. I'm going through that right now. Our one is, she's turning 1 in a few weeks, right? So she's really young.
Yeah.
Right now, her latest thing is like she'll eat until she's full, and then you give them a bit more to see if they're actually full, and she just stares at you and just drops it like this.
The attitude comes out.
And the attitude comes out. This little thing, and like you can't really do much. We know you can't really do much, but I've tried to say no. I've tried to say stop just to see how she reacts, and she smiles at me. She like a little laughs at me when she does it. And you look at that and you go, you little shit.
Yeah, man. Like we're dealing with that too at the moment. I think that maybe the last 2 weeks has been the most challenging in the last 6 months, just because, she's had this big shift where she's really starting to find her voice of saying no. And I think that this is where it gets tricky. I think we've spoken about this before, where
I think we have.
You want them to say no. You want them to get used to saying, I don't like something and I'm not going to accept anything else. But at the same time, it's with everything. She's really loving saying no to stuff.
Yeah. And
so, and on one hand, you want them to have that voice and be able to say, no, I don't want something. But on the other hand, you're like, just listen, mate.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like,
listening, you little shit.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh my goodness.
How old's your little one now?
She turns 3 in October.
Oh, wow. 3 already.
Yeah.
That's gone so fast.
So basically she's my boss, and I just work for her, man.
I remember,
she's the boss around there.
I remember coming to your place ages ago when we did something together. Yeah. And I remember hearing her cry, and she was months old. She was tiny kind of thing. And you were tired as fuck. You're exhausted. How time flies, man.
Oh yeah. It goes quick. I was literally having a chat with my wife about it like this last week. And we're saying, like, time's gone really quick.
Yeah.
And in the future, we want to have more kids. And we're like, man, she's going to be 3 in October.
Yeah.
So what does it look like with having more kids? Do we want them to be as close as possible in age? Do we want them to be further apart so that, when Georgia is 5 or 6, she has a sibling to, I guess, to some degree help care for too?
Sure.
She'll be at an age where she would love to participate in looking after them, or at a younger age where they can be, but they're both being looked after in that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
And I guess it's like there's no real right time to decide when that would be, other than if you're lucky enough to have another kid, and if you're blessed with that, it is what it is, and you just go with the flow. You can't really decide these things, I guess.
You can't. That's just life, right?
Yeah.
The beauty of life. Do you think I've got a few friends who have kids, and we really want them to do this, we really want them to do that. One of the things that we have already started doing with Natalia, our little one, is take her to swimming lessons. So if she jumps in the pool, she knows how to swim and do all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Have you thought about this sort of stuff? And in particular, I wanted to ask you, because of what you do, have you thought about maybe self-defense and things like that, particularly for young women? Is that a conversation you've had?
Yeah, for sure. It's funny that you say that, because this week I actually showed her what jiu-jitsu is.
Oh.
And she thinks it's fun, but also she's not entirely sure just yet. So we've been wrestling and having fun and mucking around, and she pretends to get me in an arm bar and she thinks it's hilarious. And I think it's something that we'll try. And I guess with trying a whole bunch of stuff is the only way that you'll know. She might say no. But also at the same time, she sees me every day in the garage training my clients, doing boxing with them, that she thinks that that's just a normal part of life. So I'm sure at some point in her life, she's going to adapt that as well.
She'll just be interested in what's dad doing? I want to try what dad's doing.
She's going to want to try it at some point, And I think being 3, turning 3, she's still a little bit young.
Yeah.
And things like swimming and that's definitely going to come when it comes.
Sure.
But a big part of the way that we've raised Georgia is a lot of what she's been taught at the moment has been in the home. So she knows a lot about baking stuff, like cooking, certain things. Like she's always with Michelle. She's doing the groceries. Like she's got her own little trolley she brings. Like she knows a lot about, I guess, taking care of the home, and she's doing that. But then also at the same time, like she's not afraid to help me try and start the lawnmower. Like she's really interested in the things we're doing in our home. And I think, you know, as a society, we're really quick to go and find external things outside of the home. But there's so much to learn in the home.
It's beautiful how they're so fascinated in everything
Oh, yeah.
you do and what you do.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that I think is really important for young parents is to, like we were just saying, kids kind of watch everything. They want to know what you're doing. They copy what you're doing.
Yeah.
Young parents and staying in shape, being fit and doing all that sort of thing. Now, you're obviously a very fit person. You run your thing. Is that something that you can see yourself doing into your old age, especially if you've got younger kids, to make sure you have the energy and all that sort of stuff? Is this stuff that you're already thinking about now?
Yeah, of course, man. Like, you know, and I think that life is a whole bunch of ups and downs where some moments in life you won't have as much fitness in your life as you would like. And then other times you would be all over it, you know, and I like to think of myself as a very visual person where, you know, I like to think of life as a whole bunch of spinning plates. You're never going to get around to all of them at the same time where they're all spinning the same speed. And so you might spin a whole bunch of plates where it's fitness, health, eating right, you know, being outdoors, all that sort of stuff. But then maybe the business aspect of your life where you're running a business and that sort of takes a back seat. Or you focus more on business, working lots of hours, and then the fitness isn't there. But to some degree, you're going to have all of them present at the one time. And I think that because it's a part of our life, she will always know it. Whether she uses that tool or not at certain points of her life is totally up to her. And, you know, my wife has started doing Pilates again and getting out and doing her thing. So she knows when she wakes up and mum's not there, she's off doing training. And when she comes home, she's filled her bucket for the day or for the morning to start her day with Georgia. Mm-hmm. And so she knows that to be the normal. So I hope that she adapts the same mentality around training, you know. She always sees me training in the garage, so she knows that's a normal thing. It's not unusual. So yeah, she's definitely, I feel she will adapt that.
Is that how you got into the fitness business sort of thing? Were you sort of trying to spin the plates and try and keep everything in shape in your life and found that maybe you like spinning that plate a bit more? How did you get into Mr. Mike, PT boxing? How did you get into that?
Yeah. Well, I've always played sport growing up. I've always been interested in physical activity. You know, I grew up with my mum always wanting to go to the gym, be healthy, be, you know, outdoors. You know, so she set a good example for me that, again, it wasn't unusual to see people go to the gym. I remember, you know, growing up in the northern suburbs, like Fitness First was at Epping. And that was like a big deal. It was like, there's a Fitness First in Epping, like, and everyone went there, you know?
Yeah.
And she was a part of that trend as well. So, you know, she showed me that going to the gym or the YMCA or the, you know, whatever it may be is normal. And so I think that, you know, playing sport growing up, like all of our siblings, you know, they all played sports and did activities like that. And then it naturally just progressed to, like, after junior footy finished, you know, at one point I hurt my knee. I did my ACL when I was 17. And that's when I really started turning towards like boxing. And that's when I found that love for that I didn't need to be competitive in the way that was going and competing in a sport. It was more so, you know, I could hit the bag, train with trainers, like do pad work and just do it for me. And that was really important for me because it helped get me through that time where I took something away from what I really enjoyed.
You couldn't,
you know what I mean? And so I think that just naturally it was a part of life that it was never going to be any other way than whether I did it as a profession or whether I just had it in my life, it was always going to be present. And I think that it just grew to a point where I'm like, hey, I really like this. I really enjoy this and I want to share this with others, you know, and I felt I'm really good at, you know, connection with people. And so it just was a no-brainer that I was like, I really like training. I really like being around people. And so knowing that you could be a personal trainer and help other people and share what you have a passion for, share it with others, it was like a no-brainer. I was like, let's do this.
Did you always start from like your garage or did you work anywhere else? How did you get like that first bit into when you decided this is what I want to do?
So initially what it was, I actually left school in year 11. Started year 12. So I've completed year 11. I left at year 12. And in that time, I did a pre-apprenticeship, like we all did in the northern suburbs, right?
Of course. Right.
So I did a pre-apprenticeship in carpentry, and then I did that, and then I turned 18, and I was working at a job site in the Docklands, and it was with one of my friends who ran a carpentry business. And I was thinking, man, I'm like, something's not right here. Like, I like being here. I'm a creative person. I like doing things hands-on. But man, doing these deckings and floorboards for these restaurants at Docklands, like, I'm thinking to myself, man, I got to do something different. And I go, if I hear one more ad for the Australian Institute of Fitness by the end of the day, I have to call them.
Yeah.
And it was like, 3:30, and it came on. I'm like, I got to call.
Yeah.
I said that, so I got to do it now. And I called them and I did it. And so I did my course. And back then it was a really in-depth course that was condensed into like 10 weeks. And it was like 5 days a week. It was 12-hour days. It was really full on. And so 40 people started the course. And I think like 15 of us finished it. And I was one of the lucky few to finish it and really get it. And so from that point, I was like, I'm going to go and be a PT. And that's when I applied to Fitness First and this. And then I realized that in that moment, I was like, I have no idea how to run a business. I don't know how to market myself. I don't know how to sell anything. And so when I was going to sign up, I was almost about to sign up with a Fitness First. And everyone was like to me, like, you got to learn these things beforehand. And this was before anyone taught this. So like, it felt like the industry was about signing on people, will give you the bit of a hand, and then you're off on your own, paying your rent and doing your thing. And luckily I didn't, but then I ended up getting offered a job at Chevello as a carpenter, as apprentice.
Okay.
So I started that, and I did 3 years of it, and I liked it. And again, I like being creative, so I was hands-on, and it was really fun. And unfortunately, I hurt my knee again. I tore my ACL again.
Fuck that knee, bro.
I know, man. It's done. It's got to go. And so I did it again. And in that moment, I thought, I really got to go and do what I really want to do. And because I want to be a personal trainer, I think it's really important that I go off and learn the skills necessary to become that. So I quit that job. I handed in my notice after I came back from my ACL Rico, the second one. And I went and applied for jobs as a sales consultant, selling the gym memberships.
Right. Okay.
And then so I learned sales. I learned how to communicate with people. I worked at Paran Good Life. And in that time that I spent there, I was lucky enough to work with some really cool people that had been in the sales game for so long that in that year and a bit that I worked there, I learned so much. That the transition from the Good Life at Paran into being a PT at Good Life in Preston was seamless. I just went straight into running my business, and I never had a day that I felt like I can't do this. I was selling, I was training, I was in the environments that I wanted to be in, and all of a sudden it was just working. And it was all because I made that switch to take a step back, and everyone criticized, oh, you're going to give up a job that pays you so much and all this sort of stuff to go do a job that is stressful and this. And I'm like, yeah, but you have to take that step back in order to, I guess, change the road you're going to take. And so, I loved carpentry, but it was really important that I went off and did sales and did that. And then it's led me down the road to run my business at Good Life for many years, like 3 or 4 years. Went overseas, experienced that, came back, went and worked at another gym. I've been at a Jets after that. I've worked at multiple gyms doing group classes, boxing, and I've always had the element of strength training and boxing together. And I felt like they complemented each other really well. And it was great, and I've never turned back from there. It's always been a part of my life to some degree. We went through lockdown, people lost their jobs, gyms were not as accessible anymore. It made sense to work at home and especially make it my own thing. And it was great. And so from then, especially from lockdowns, I've run my business for the last 4 or 5 years from home. And it's been great.
Another business that was born in COVID.
Yep.
Crazy, huh?
Crazy.
We were talking on an earlier podcast today about how when I started my business in COVID times, we're talking about how not many people were online, and then all of these businesses came online and the landscape became so much more competitive. It's a beautiful thing. I really like that businesses were flourishing after that and really growing. But it's just amazing how many stories you hear about people like, fuck this, I'm sick of this, COVID's already done this, I'm just going to try doing this. It was the blessing in the disguise to some degree, for sure.
100%. I think the lockdowns taught us that nothing is forever.
Yeah.
And that the security, the job security that you think you might have, or, you know, the plan that you have that's rock solid, it doesn't really mean anything when something like that happens. So if we were all sort of at our lowest point, it made sense for us to pick the thing we liked most to go ahead with that. I guess in a time that was stressful and that was, you know, uncertain, you're bound to find more enjoyment and want to go through that grind and that journey on something that you like, rather than find a job you hate and have to grind through that anyway.
COVID taught me that. It also taught me that life's pretty damn short. And, you know, we were locked down for 2 years or whatever ridiculous amount it was. And that you really should travel. You should do those things you're talking about. Get out there and experience life. Like I'm trying to convince my parents to go to Europe and visit Masso again. This, that, we got to do this. I'm like, what are you waiting when for? Are you going to go?
Yeah.
Like, you got to go, you got to go.
Yeah.
Specifically with your business that you started off with, well, actually, I don't know if it was like this at the start, but you basically only train women, and is that still the case now?
It's always changing.
Okay.
But mainly it was more women that I guess were drawn to my service.
Well, that's the thing. It was like when we first had a chat, you were like, I have so many of these women coming in for this fitness thing that I'm doing. They want to come in and feel fit. They want to come in and kind of feel like they have, maybe not like they can just go out and be, they can have, what's the word I'm looking for? They feel like they can self-defend themselves or anything. They might not feel like that, but there's some element of that. They can get out that aggression. You were talking to me about how they really, really enjoy that kind of thing. I had not really seen that because I was in martial arts when I was a kid, mostly guys. Some girls, mostly guys. Boxing, mostly guys. I found yourself, you know, we had a chat and you're like, yeah, man, I basically only train women at that point. Maybe there's a few now. And I thought that was a really cool thing that you had going on, and it seems to be that you're still doing that. You still got people coming through and you're still flourishing.
Yeah. So I've always had like a roughly like a 70-30 split.
Okay.
And sometimes that ratio changes depending on who's in and who's out, in terms of, you know, clients for that, I guess, month. But yeah, mainly it's been women. I guess it's been women because they've all had very similar stories, which is, you know, I go to the gym, but I don't always feel comfortable. You know, I want to try something new, but the thought of being in a space with lots of people and lots of, I guess like a male dominant area, let's call
like
it.
Intimidating, sort of loud, you know,
and especially when someone's starting their journey. You know, a lot of mums were, you know, putting their little ones to sleep and then coming over at 7:30 and smashing out their boxing session. They had their 45 minutes where they could put on any music they wanted. They could, you know, punch and chat and have fun. They could also have really intense sessions where it was only about training. And then other times it was like, you know, we'd warm up, we'd stretch, we'd take the session slow, we'd do a bit of boxing on the bag. And sometimes it was more like a therapy session than it was boxing, which is like a little hidden talent I've got to be a side therapist.
Yeah, there you go.
I think a trainer really has that talent when you're good at customer service. You know, you're a pair of ears where someone can just talk and you can listen, and, you know, sometimes you're not really giving too much advice, but rather letting that person talk in a space that makes them feel super comfortable.
Yeah.
And that's where I think mixing, you know, physical movement and I guess talking, they work so well together. I think that's the secret to it all. That people are more likely to talk about what's on their mind when they're being physical and they're punching and they're getting the emotions out. Or they're lifting weights and they're having fun. Like, you know, I've had many clients come to me and say, I often don't talk about my problems, but when I come and chat to you, it's really easy to do that. And so for a year for that person, I was their weekly, I guess, check-in. Not so much therapy on a physical, not so much on a physical standpoint, but just how's your mind? How you feeling? Like, how's life? You know? And for them, that's the thing that made them actually make better choices about their health and their well-being, because I gave them space to offload their emotions. And then once it was gone, they could make better decisions about their health. And I think that's a big part of my service. It's like, I don't do anything that's super groundbreaking, but rather give them the space to make the right decision. and then they go about their week. I think that's really sums up my service. Just giving them the time and space that they need, whether it be 45 minutes or, twice a week or whatever. It's theirs to use in whatever way they want.
I like that. And I like how they can put their own music on. They can really customize it to whatever they want.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Obviously, like you said, you've got a young kid that's 3 or just
She's turning 3.
turning 3.
Yeah.
How has that been, balancing being a small business owner, being in a physical business as well, which I think is very different to me, for example. I do a lot of sitting or standing at my desk. You're moving around a lot.
Yeah.
How has that been with balancing all that with a young one? I'm sure there have been some times where you've gone, man, I'm exhausted. How's that been?
Yeah. Like I said at the start, it's been pretty tricky. And it's been more so tricky because in one aspect where you take on more work, more clients, and you have a lot going on, it's taken away from the hours that you can be a dad. And so it's really sometimes a trade-off. It's like, do I want to finish work at 6 o'clock tonight and be there for, bed routine and dinner and not miss those things? And especially being a personal trainer, my hours are outside of everyone's hours. So it's either super early or super late. And sometimes you're blessed with a lot of clients that want to train at lunchtime and you get them during the day, but most of the time it's outside of those hours. And so I often found myself having to juggle that of, working late and missing a few things, or, sometimes I'd get to see Georgia for 30 minutes a day. Yeah. And then I have to wait until the next day because I'd leave so early and I'd come home so late. And, working at home is fantastic, but I started taking on more work as well where, the neighbors don't exactly love loud music in the morning at 6 a.m. or the punches hitting the bag. And so it was the right decision, I guess, at the time to go off and work at a gym for a bit in the morning, do a few other things work-wise, but, coming back to my business at home. But as soon as you get home, they're like so excited to see you. And they're like, hey, how was your day? And I was like, yeah, great. Have dinner for half an hour. And then all of a sudden I've got to go back to work. And they're like, no, stay, So that's been a bit tricky, as well as at the same time, the more hours I'm working, the more hours that my wife has to work being mum. She doesn't get too many chop outs in the way that, I'm there as a secondary person to help out in all those tasks and all those things she's got to do all day. So it's been tricky in that aspect, but, my wife's a business owner as well. She's a kinesiologist. Her business is really, really thriving. But at the same time, being a mum, you can only offer so much of your time when you're so busy. And I guess that's the tricky part about life's just a whole bunch of spinning plates. You're spinning them over here, and those ones are getting a bit shaky, so you're heading over to those ones. And you can only get to a certain amount unless you start to take a few of those plates away. You don't need to focus on them. You don't need to have so much going on. And I guess that's where we're at. It's like trying to reduce some of our things that we're having to do. Not work as much, not do as much, prioritize Sunday, family time, and fill the cup there, because in the middle of the week, obviously we're working a lot. But yeah, overall, I think being a parent has been amazing. And I try whenever I can be the person who recommends it to people, rather than, what it's like. Someone goes, you having a kid? Oh, you're stuffed now, mate. They're going to be like, it's they're going to be crying all the time. They're going to be wanting something from you. Like, someone's always saying something negative about, your stuff now, mate. But I've always wanted to be that person that goes, look, there are some tricky times, but bro, it's so awesome.
The positives so far outweigh those tricky times. It's
Yeah. Like you would know the same, right? Like,
well, and like I remember a few people saying like they're going to want your attention all the time. And in my head, I'm thinking, that's what I want. Like I want to be like, that's what I like. That's the best part of it. They cry and they do all that sort of stuff, whatever, right? They're little kids, they don't understand. But that's only like 5% of the time. The rest of the time, they're like, they want to be with you. They want to see what you're doing. Like we said, they copy you and do all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
That's the best. That's what I love about it.
Yeah.
With the spinning of plates analogy, when I was younger, I tried to spin 10,000 plates and it was dumb. And having a kid really made me realize that there are only a few important plates to be spinning. Family time, as you said, business stuff, fitness stuff, and all that sort of, and all those sorts of important areas. Have you found that depending on maybe your clientele, I know you said you got women and some guys coming in, do you find that women who are mums or maybe that are of that sort of age where they've got young kids, are you finding more of them coming into the fitness world these days? I'm just trying to think back to maybe when, we were teenagers. I don't really remember like my mum and her friends like going to do fitness. They'd like never do a gym session. They wouldn't do like a boxing thing. My family could be different or whatever, but just thinking about other parents and things like that, they didn't really do it as much. But nowadays, I feel like there's a lot more focus on spinning that fitness plate. And I wanted to get your opinion on that. Is that what you're seeing too in your world?
Yeah, 100%. Like I've noticed it a lot that that movement is medicine, and that, on a stressful week and you're working lots and there's, lots of kid stuff, and, it's easy to plonk yourself on the couch and watch your favorite series. And, there's a time and a place for that. But there's this shift that everyone knows that I need that time for me. And if I move my body, it's going to give me what I need to be my best self. And it doesn't have to be, I'm doing this so I can lose 8 kilos in 8 weeks. It doesn't have to be anything like that. and good on the people that want to do that, and they're good for them. But not everyone's like that. Sometimes it's like I said before, it's like, if I can constantly train and move my body, that's the medicine that I need. That's going to help me to make better decisions. It's going to make me be a better parent. It's going to make me be less reactive. Like, because I know that for me, like, in my childhood, like, as much as we were all very loving and we grew up in a great environment in terms of when we loved, but there was elements that, there was yelling, there was screaming. Like, I have 3 siblings, so one of us has a problem at some point. You know what I mean? Like, there's going to be something there, right?
Yeah.
And so, our reaction is to, I guess, not always tolerate be quick to be reactive to the screaming and all that, And so, especially with a young child, when they're not cooperating and they're screaming and you're stressed and whatever, if you haven't filled your cup properly and you haven't moved your body and you haven't gone to, I guess, that avenue or gone down that track, you're going to find that you're more reactive. And I think that people are now using that as a tool to go and train, look after themselves, whether it be Pilates, go for a walk, go do boxing, whatever. Looking after your mental health that way too is going to help you to be a better parent. And that's what I'm seeing a lot with my clients too. They come in, they have that moment for themselves where they can remove themselves from the everyday tasks, train, move their body, and come back and be a better parent, and I think that's what I'm really enjoying the most at the moment. And it's not even just parents, it's also, younger people as well, where they're coming in and they know that on a busy week that they're working 12 hours, when they get to the weekend, are they stressed? Or are they taking care of their physical health and their mental health? And when they get to the weekend, they can actually enjoy it better. They're showing up for themselves in the middle of the week to make their weekends better, or just everyday life. But, they're enjoying it. They're not working Monday to Friday and having to use Saturday and Sunday to try and recover and fix to then do it again on Monday. They're finishing the week going, I filled my cup, I've spun all the plates correctly, and now I get to enjoy my weekend. You know what I mean?
Let's talk about spinning some other things. This is a very, very important question. You have to answer this correctly.
Oh no, the pressure's on.
You have to choose between these 2 cars, Skyline or Supra.
It's got to be Skyline.
He's got to be. Okay, good answer.
Is that yours?
I've been a Skyline boy since I was a tiny little kid.
Yeah. Man, I remember Skyline. I remember the first kind of cars I was drawing at that, when I was in primary school.
The
lot. Oh, bro, it was so funny. It was like, once I did that, I was like, man, I've got to share this gift with everyone. Man, I'm like an artist, bro. Like, it's there's those lights at the back was so iconic.
Aren't they? I just remember when I was like 16, we'd go over to like a family event, and all the like 18, 19-year-olds, back then it was like power to weight ratio, P-plate lots, and like people would get the Skyline, that stock was like under the laws. But man, I just remember just dragging on the streets and stuff like that, all legally, mum, don't worry. Just the car culture back then was a big thing. And don't get me wrong, there is still a car culture now, but I've noticed, and it might just be a case of you can't really get these types of cars anymore, people aren't really like modifying their cars as much. there just doesn't seem to be as big of a mod scene or as like even just a gathering scene as much as maybe when we were young, because I'm guessing you're at Macca's.
Oh yeah,
It's all late hours and watching it.
I don't really see that as well that often, but I guess I think I brought it down to the fact that because I'm not looking for it. I'm sure it's out there.
I'm looking for it, man.
Oh, you're looking for it?
I just don't see it as much. And maybe I'm just not in the same places anymore.
Yeah.
But I just feel like that car culture that we used to be a part of is disappearing, and it's making me sad, unfortunately.
Yeah. Now, look, I'd agree with that it's not not the same as it used to be. But yeah, I remember like back in the day, it was like the drags were always on, and you know there was always something to to go and meet up at this place. There's going to be a car meet.
Yeah.
I think they are still out there, but again, they're just not the same, and nothing lasts forever. But there's an era where there was the best.
There was the best.
I think we've gone through it already.
Maybe we're just getting old.
Maybe we're just getting old.
Maybe we're just getting old and I don't know it. If you were to choose one car that you were going to like completely do like a restoration on, what would be the dream car for Mike? What would that be? Unlimited.
I already
money.
know it.
Tell me.
It has to be a VL Turbo.
It has to be?
Yeah.
You're just answering all the questions perfectly.
I already know them. So I had a VL, it wasn't a turbo, but I had a VL. It was my first car. It was given to me from my grandfather.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was amazing. I loved it.
Proper grandpa.
And I wanted to keep that forever. It had the sheepskin cover, seats, and like, it was great. I wanted to keep that car. Unfortunately, someone ran a red light and T-boned me and wrote it off.
No.
And at the time, I guess I could have kept it the way it was, like completely broken or whatever, taken the rest off, found another car, tried to fix that, and I guess like put some stuff together. But I decided to just get my insurance payout and buy another VL. I bought a VL Calais. And at the time, that was so cheap. It was a VL Calais Series 2, 88, so the last of the last. And stupidly, I was like, there's a few things wrong. The paint's not that great, like blah, blah, blah. I'm going to sell it. And I sold it for $5,000.
Oh.
Yeah. And I bought a VS Calais. I'm like, something a little bit nice. It's got leather seats, something a bit better. That car was shit ass. Like I didn't want that car. I should have just kept the VL. But that VL, it was so good. It was electric blue.
Nice color.
Yeah, and it had the polished Calais wheels on it, and so that car today is like you can't find them, even if it's not turbo, but you can't find them, man.
Well into the six figures, man.
Yeah, like they're too hard to find, and if they're turbo, let's forget about it. They're out of reach now, and so I've seen a couple of them out there. And I'm like, should I buy it and have it there because they're going to be so far out of reach that it's a better idea to get it and then slowly build it over 10, 15 years, like whatever it takes.
Yeah.
So I'm still deciding that. But yeah, if I was to pick any car, it's got to be a VL.
I'd love to get a GDR.
Oh, GDR's good.
I was looking at a few recently. It's just astronomical, the prices.
Oh, yeah.
Hear this out. One of my friends, he offered to sell his 32 GDR to me. It had just been rebuilt. So the engine, it was still stock internals, but it had just been rebuilt. It had a bit of rust on the rails, probably needed like $2-3 worth of fixing up. He wanted to sell it to me for $7,000, and I said, nah.
When was this?
Years ago. And I was like, $7,000? Oh, no, I could probably buy an S chassis and do some stuff to it, which I did and never finished. $7,000. Find me a 32 GDR now.
Can't.
With like a good engine and everything like that for less than $100,000.
I can't find it.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. I went through my photos that I uploaded to the computer. It was like, I think it might have been 2013 or 14 or something like that. And I was just going through all my old iPhone. I don't even have an iPhone anymore, but old iPhone photos. And there was some screenshots of cars that I was looking at back then that I was going to buy, like send to a mate. Look at this car, blah, blah. I'm like, the prices are crazy. Like they don't exist like that anymore.
No.
Cars are going for $4-5,000. And then like today, they're like quadruple the price.
But not only that, you can't get that type of car. Like where do you find a front engine rear wheel drive like turbo car? You can't really find them anymore.
No. And if someone does have it, they know what they've got.
Yeah.
And they're not going to sell it.
Finally, I wanted to ask you what your take is on electric vehicles. A lot of people have a pretty strong opinion on that. I have an opinion on it, but I want to hear what your take is on it. Do you like them, or do you think that?
I don't know enough about them.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know enough about them, whether they're a good investment or not, whether they're something that eventually they're all going to be like that. I think there's going to be a time where, you know, we are going to have more and more of them, and those other cars are going to be, you know, much more harder to find. You won't see them as much on the road. But yeah, again, like I don't know enough about them, and they're not really on my radar to, I guess, go and look into. But you would know more. You tell me. What do you reckon?
Well, because I asked that question because some people are like, I hate them. They're stupid. Just give me my VL Turbo. I'll drive that for the rest of my life. I think that for the majority of people, they're just going to want an electric car. They just want something that's quiet, charge at home, don't have to go fill up smelly petrol. It's clean and all that sort of stuff. But I don't think they have their place everywhere. And I think for sports cars there's still a little bit of development that needs to take place. What I do like about what they have done for the car industry is that because the general consumer who just wants to drive an auto car to get them from A to B, electric cars are perfect for that. It's meant that like all these German manufacturers and Italian supercar manufacturers, cars that are way out of my reach, but that I think are really cool, now come with manual transmissions again. I think that's a really awesome thing. And I think that because of all these Euro 6 emissions laws and all that sort of stuff, these car companies are going, well, we're going to have to produce an electric car that most people want. But now that we have this small market of people that still love the sound of cars and all that, they don't care so much about going 0 to 100 in 2 seconds or whatever. Give them that 0 to 100 in 3 seconds, but let them change gears.
Yeah.
I love that that's come back, and I love seeing car manufacturers doing that.
Yeah.
I think it's really awesome.
I agree. I think that there's always going to be that little market that are going to be like, I'm going to stick to what I know.
Yeah.
You know, similar to like, you know, that old school car scene, like, you know, the 50s and 60s cars, like people still have them. They meet at the cafes every Sunday. They've got their old school car. They're like, no thanks, no electric for me.
Yeah.
They want to stick with something that they can feel. The doors sound heavy, like the car feels rumbling. You know, like they're going to want to stick with that.
I have that little bit in me as well. There's like, I don't know, man, an inline 6 cracking gate is just, I could fall asleep to that sound as
100%.
ridiculous as people.
You know, one thing that I don't like about the electric cars is you can't hear them come in. They're too quiet.
Yeah, well, so the new Teslas and things like that, they actually exaggerate the electric sound. So they have like a thing that makes it like buzz a little bit louder so you can't hear them, because that was a real problem.
Yeah, like, because I feel like when you're in a car and if they're going by you and you've got the music on, like at least the other ones can rumble and you can feel them and hear them come in.
Yeah.
You know, to a degree, depending on what car it is. But like, yeah, electric ones, like there's been a couple incidents where I was like, man, I didn't even hear that car come in.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like that's scary that if we're living in a world where they're all just zooming by, but you can't hear them.
Don't worry about it. They'll all drive themselves. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They'll be flying by then.
Mike, thanks a lot for coming, man. Thanks for your time. We're going to wrap it up here. Before we do, where can people find you on your socials? How do people find you? Instagram? What's the best place?
So Instagram's the best place. PT Mike.
Yep.
They'll be able to find me and have a look at some of the videos and see what other clients are getting up to. And if they have any questions, just DM me and we're going to have a chat.
Beautiful. I'll put all those links in the description. Thanks everyone for watching. Cheers, man.
Thanks, man.
Till next time.